Did you know that a lot of the clothes you're wearing, your loved ones are wearing, may be synthetic and causing harm to your overall health? All these materials are made with chemicals that get into your system through your skin and breathing it in.
You talk to people who are struggling with psoriasis, eczema, other allergies, and they're asked, what lotions are you using? You know, what detergents are you using? But nobody ever asks them, like, are you hitting the gym every day in a black polyester shirt? And maybe that's causing your back knee. Maybe if you're wearing these black yoga pants, which I realized was happening in my case, that's causing you to break out on your legs.
Alden Wicker is an award-winning investigative journalist and the author of To Die For, How Toxic Fashion is Making Us Sick and How We Can Fight Back. In this podcast, Alden teaches us what to look for when we buy clothing, what we need to stay away from, and also how to outfit your home. This episode is going to blow your mind. All right, so this is going to be such an exciting podcast. I know the viewers and listeners really value clothing, what's in clothing, and we're going to talk a little bit about home too. And you've been into this whole field for quite a while. You've done some investigations, and boy, do I have the heart of an investigative journalist. So to have someone who really, really cares about what we're exposing ourselves to I'm so excited to talk about this. Now, years ago, this yoga pants phenomenon came out and people went crazy for it.
Yeah.
What the heck was going on with yoga pants back in the past? And has there been any update on what's going on now?
Yeah, so there's a couple different things that have happened around yoga pants specifically. The first, well, maybe not the first thing that happened, but there was an investigation where the Center for Environmental Health in California tested a bunch of athletic clothing, including t-shirts, and they've done socks and they've done pants, anything that has spandex and polyester. So stretchy yoga pants, stretchy socks, things like that. And they found that they had a lot of these different brands had high levels of BPA, which is an endocrine disruptor. And the problem with that is that there's been further research recently showing that when we sweat has the ability to draw toxins out of plastics and onto our skin. And so you have these endocrine disruptors, which, as you probably know, researchers agree there's no safe level of exposure to endocrine disruptors. They do a lot of damage at very, very small amounts. And they affect our endocrine system. So everything from skin appearance, weight gain, reproductive health, all of those different things. And so we're on the treadmill or we're doing yoga and we're sweating in these things and we're damaging our health when we wear these yoga pants or socks or things like that. The other thing that came out was that there was a blog that did testing of a lot of different yoga pants brands to see which ones have PFAS in them. And PFAS is that Teflon chemical, forever chemicals, again, reproductive toxic, carcinogenic, really, really potent, very, very hazardous. And she tested all of these different things or had them tested in a lab and found varying levels of PFAS. Sometimes you test clothing and if it has 8 parts per million PFAS, 10 parts per million PFAS, that's really just background contamination from being in the world because PFAS is so pervasive. But some of them had 150 parts per million, thousands parts per million. And that indicates that PFAS has been added to provide water wicking, stain repellency, water repellency. And when you have that much, you're going to see effects on your health.
And that's the biggest thing is we look at the number, and there's people who are reporting like, this was contaminated with PFAS, but it's at a parts per billion.
Yeah.
Much, much smaller than parts per million.
Right.
And you're saying that a lot of these pants that were tested for this forever chemical were at parts per million.
Yeah, absolutely. But sometimes I think that was a little bit unfair because everybody picked up on Lululemon.
Yeah.
And Lululemon was at that level where it was just sort of background contamination. There was another one that sounds similar, which is LuLaRoe, which is like a multi-level marketing scheme of yoga pants. And they had so much PFAS on them. And then there's a third thing that can happen with yoga pants, which is the dyes that are used on polyester. So if you think about taking a plastic water bottle and taking dye and trying to dye that water bottle, you understand how gnarly of a dye you need to infuse plastic, which is what polyester is, with a color. And so those types of dyes are called disperse dyes, and they are known skin sensitizers. So if you have skin problems and you go into your dermatologist, they might give you a patch test. They'll put 80 different patches all over your back. You go back every 24 hours, see what you're reacting to. And they will include disperse blue dye, disperse black dye, because it's so common of an allergen. And a lot of people don't know this. It's kind of weird. It's like you talk to people who are struggling with psoriasis, eczema, other allergies, and they often go to their general practitioner and they're asked, what lotions are you using? You know, what detergents are you using? But nobody ever asks them, like, are you hitting the gym every day in a black polyester shirt? You know, and maybe that's causing your back knee. Maybe if you're wearing these black yoga pants, which I realized was happening in my case, that's causing you to break out on your legs. So this is something a lot of people don't know, but dermatologists have known for a while that it can be provoke these responses. Unfortunately, even if you do know that you're allergic to disperse blue and disperse black dye, or other things that can be in fashion, like formaldehyde, nickel, some other different chemicals that are used in processing fashion, there's no way for you to really tell because fashion doesn't come with an ingredient list.
Yeah. So, and back to like just thinking about like a plastic bottle.
Yeah.
If I was to put food coloring dye, it's going to wash out.
It's just going to roll off. Yeah.
It's going to roll off. So it has to be really potent, chemically adhering to the plastic.
Yeah.
And you're saying that when we're exposed to this really, really tough dye, we're having skin sensitivities because it's against the skin and sweat is making it more absorbable.
Yeah, absolutely. It's drying it out. So there's been some really great research coming out of Duke, the Nichols School of Environment, over the past 5 years, where they were testing house dust. And they were saying, okay, what's in house dust? And they were like, oh, there's some like crazy stuff in here. Where is this coming from? It's coming from polyester. All those microfibers are coming off of our polyester curtains, our polyester clothing, and bringing those azobenzene disperse dyes with them. And then they tested kids' athletic t-shirts. And the reason why they started doing this is because Dr. Heather Stapleton, one of these team members at Duke, her son had an allergic reaction to his new athletic shirt in the pattern of the dye. And so she just happens to have access to world-class testing equipment, and that started her down this whole thing. So she was like, okay, so they tested these shirts that they bought from the mall, and some of them were up to 1% by weight of this dispersed dye. And so when she was talking to me, she was just incensed about it. She was like, why are we exposing our kids to this? And also, they have little bodies, they're developing. What allergies are they developing? Because they're being exposed as babies, as little toddlers, to these immuno and skin sensitizers. And then they did more in vitro research to test, like, are these causing skin sensitivities? And all of the different dispersed dyes that they sourced, purified, tested had the ability to cause these skin sensitivities.
We think about our toddlers and children, and you're right, like their little bodies are so sensitive and vulnerable.
Yeah.
Has there been any research in the baby cribs, the baby onesies, the diapers? There's new moms who are listening to this show right now and going, whoa, I didn't really think about it. Yeah. But is there things that we need to look for them, for our kids?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you should always be buying your kids natural fibers, for sure, for several different reasons. One is what I was just talking about with these dispersed dyes. Also, the natural fibers, they're just better for our skin because they breathe, they can be softer, they don't require these gnarly finishes. They're not going to be perfect, of course, but that's one really simple switch you can make, right? Just go for 100% cotton whenever you can.
100% cotton, that's what we're looking for our children.
Yeah.
Because I remember reading about that a lot of these onesies that babies are wearing, they have flame retardants.
Oh, actually, I have really good news.
Okay,
for
let's
your
give us a drop the bomb.
Yeah, so it used to be that was really common. And then the Consumer Product Safety Commission updated their requirements. So brands don't apply flame retardant chemicals to baby onesies and nightgowns and nightwear anymore because pajamas. And I know that's true because I reached out to several different researchers, including Dr. Heather Stapleton. She said, we've done testing in recent years. We haven't found it. So good news.
That's really good.
We can cross that off our staying up at night list.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a thing that like, look, a baby is already exposed to so much in utero, and then we have a baby, and then we really want to, you know, I know a lot of parents that are like, hey, how do I set up my room? Like, what do I need to look for? What's a good air purifier?
Yeah.
What about cribs, you know? And it plays a role because, you know, you have a kid who has eczema out of nowhere, and it's not a food thing. So we start thinking about the environment, and they're so vulnerable. But it's really good to hear about the flame retardants being phased out, and now they're testing to confirm that.
Well, for pajamas. Yes. One thing that I would say people should look for is it's so frustrating because you have to be this detective when you're shopping. But if you're looking for like nursery furniture, don't get nursery furniture that says it is stain resistant, because the way they're doing that is they are applying PFAS.
And what would be the problem with PFAS on furniture?
Yeah, so it'll shed off the furniture. It'll end up in your house dust. Your kid's going to put their hands in their mouth. And it is, I mean, it's been linked to reproductive harm and obesity and cancer and birth defects, all of these different things. You do not, and it doesn't break down. So there's some endocrine disruptors like phthalates and BPA that, you know, after you stop exposing yourself to them, you pee them out, they're gone from your body. Yay. PFAS just builds up in our bloodstream. It sticks around. So you really, you don't want to bring it into your home, and especially your nursery.
Wow. So I didn't really think about like furniture, nursery furniture.
Yeah.
But you would assume they're being made because kids are kind of messy, right? They're drooling everywhere, spilling things everywhere.
Everybody wants their like nice white, you know, fluffy furniture. I would say just go for the patterned, darker furniture and stay away from the stain resistance.
So this is a big topic because I know that on your side you're seeing this a lot, and on my side for PFAS and the effect of it on health. These are polyfluorinated chemicals that are found. They're like you said, Teflon before. It is all the non-sticks, stain resistant, moisture wicking. All of those buzzwords that people are like, oh yeah, great. Like I love a t-shirt that's stain resistant, right?
And you might pay more for it, which is why they use it.
And you might pay more for it, right?
Yeah.
We think about our pans. We're like, oh, we want to make our eggs so nice and smooth. They're not sticking to the pan.
Right.
That comes with a big cost. And this is one of the most insidious chemicals that are out there. We don't think about it much. We don't talk about it enough.
It's a new asbestos.
It's the new asbestos, right? And I remember those commercials when we were kids. Have you been exposed or someone you love to asbestos?
It's coming. There was a meeting a couple weeks ago where like an industry meeting of plastics manufacturers and brands, and this lawyer got up and he said, "It is coming for you. Prepare for the lawsuits."
Massive lawsuits coming because of PFAS.
Because of PFAS. Yeah.
Now we can measure that, but like you said, it stays in the body for a very, very long time. We're talking about decades. In the environment forever, and it's coming into our water. So what are some of the major clothing exposures for PFAS aside from yoga pants and sports bras?
So outdoor gear. If you're going snowboarding, if you're going skiing, if you're going hiking, fishing, a lot of this performance gear is just coated in PFAS to make it water resistant. There are some brands that have gone PFAS free, and they're mostly European brands. And I list them on ecocult.com if people want to find them. But like Patagonia has been spending a lot of time trying to get PFAS out of its stuff. And I think they just did it for their entire line, but it took them a while. So unless a brand says it is completely 100% fluorinated, chemistry free, or completely PFAS free, you're probably being exposed to this. And it used to be that people would be like, oh, well, it doesn't really matter for you. It matters for the environment. But if you're bringing it into your home, it is shedding into your home.
Yeah.
I mean, I've told some of my friends who are concerned about this, they're like, well, I can't afford to go out and spend, $1,000 on an entirely new like ski suit or snowboarding gear. And I'm like, okay, put it in a plastic bag, zip it up and put it away when you're not wearing it.
I mean, that would be the way to do it, right? And it's part of me, like I phased out a lot of stuff from my house. Like I had like these sports jerseys. I was like, PFAS, and I threw it away. I was like, these pants, they're moisture wicking. No, threw it away. But then to think about it, like I just got this outdoor furniture, right? And it's going to rain, and they make sure that, so I got to make sure I have a little zip up bag for all those things, and I keep them in an area because you're saying the fibers come in and shed into the home.
Well, they're shedding all the time.
They're shedding all the time. Have you been struggling with mood swings? If you begin really irritated about the simplest thing, someone's not responding to your email. I know a lot of you get really mad about these things. Your partner leaving the dishes in the sink. Do you feel like your hormones are out of whack? Like you're not sleeping well, craving foods, especially those sugary foods. Your hair, skin, and nails don't look good. Your muscles are sore. They feel different. There's a mineral that's behind a lot of this, and it's magnesium. It's an absolute must to keep your hormones in check. If you feel your life changing, you feel like you're going downhill, you got to start thinking about magnesium. Why? There's 70% of us that are deficient in it. Most of us are not getting enough magnesium from our diets alone. And when you're deficient in this vital mineral, your entire system is out of sync, especially your hormones. And there's hundreds of chemical reactions that magnesium plays a vital role in, from glucose metabolism to balancing your hormones, to brain health, to heart health, muscles. Magnesium Breakthrough is the best of the best, and it's by Biooptimizers. Everyone who uses it loves it. It's one of the most popular magnesiums out there for a reason. Why? They use a unique formula that contains 7 different highly bioavailable forms of magnesium, including magnesium orotate, which is amazing for metabolic and hormonal health. It also helps support your hormonal health by supporting sleep and your digestive processes. If you want to nourish your brain and your body, magnesium, go to biooptimizers.com/DRG. Use the promo code DRG10 to get 10% off of any order. That is BIOPTIMIZERS.com/DRG. Use the code DRG10 for 10% off of any order. By now, you guys know all about Element. Is my favorite electrolyte product, but let me tell you about their new product that they launched. That is Element Sparkling. I got like 10 in my refrigerator right now. And anytime someone comes over, I have them taste it. Everyone loves it. As someone who's always wanting to stay hydrated and avoid sugary drinks, it's a game changer because I like cold, sparkly beverages, especially in the summer. And Element Sparkling is a bold 16-ounce can of sparkling water that is packed with electrolytes, but without any of the sugar or the caffeine. It's got the same great electrolyte formula that you know and love from Element, but now it's a refreshing, fizzy form. I love that with each sip, I'm hydrating in a healthy way instead of reaching for drinks that are loaded with sugar and stimulants. It's become my go-to beverage for staying energized throughout the day. And the best part, you can try it for yourself by getting a free Element sample pack when you make any drink mix purchase at drinkelement.com/DRG. That is DRINKLMNT.com/DRG. Try it out. You're going to love it. So what about then the fibers? Are we breathing those in?
We're breathing them in. We're ingesting them. I think you might have seen the research about how we're ingesting a credit card's worth of microplastics. Gosh, what was the time period for that? Like a month, a year?
It feels like a few years ago. The new one was the plastics in the testicles.
Oh my God, I know. And I think there was accompanying research to show that it does impact male fertility to have that in there. And that's because it's not just, if you're looking at, microplastics or microfibers, it's not just the fiber itself. There's no such thing as a pure plastic, right? So if you have a microplastic and you ingest it, it's coming with the dyes, it's coming with the finishes, it's coming with the endocrine disruptors that were used to make it. There's so much in plastics that researchers and doctors who care about reproductive health and endocrine health they just say, like, get plastic out of your life. And here we are, we're eating it.
And for those of you listening and viewing, don't worry, we got solutions. We're talking about the things that this is an inconvenient truth. We have to hear this, but we got some solutions. So just take it easy, take a breath. We got some good stuff, But plastics, I believe, at least working in oncology, plastics is one of the biggest drivers that we're not looking at for cancer and other chronic diseases.
Yeah,
but
which
cancer
are all
being
going
the big
up.
one. Yeah, and we think about like plastics mimicking estrogen in the body, right?
Yeah.
And giving a signal to the body, as is, estrogen, to start behaving, the cells behaving in a very particular way that is not conducive to our health. I remember when I was in school, I read this CDC study, and they did the BPA, urine test for like 2,900 people. I could be numbers. It's over 2,000 for sure. And I think it was like 80 something, 90 something % of the people had BPA in their urine.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because, like you said, the half-life is just a day. You get rid of it, right?
You get rid
stop
of it,
drinking
yeah,
it,
but
it
we're
comes
just
out.
constantly being
It's
exposed
incredible.
to it. Yeah.
So all those people were being exposed within about a day to those plastics.
Yeah.
And where do we find BPA that may be surprising?
Oh, that's a really good question. Well, I think a lot of people don't realize that synthetic fabrics are plastic. Nylon is a plastic. Acrylic sweaters, fluffy acrylic sweaters, plastic. Your fluffy polyester blanket, that's a plastic. So it could be, but it's especially been found in polyester spandex. So anything that's stretchy could have BPA in it. Yeah, I think that's just a surprise enough for people. They're like, oh, I'm wearing a petroleum fiber.
And if we have plastic in our clothes, we can absorb that plastic too.
We can absorb the toxins that are in plastic. So we're not getting microplastics going into our bloodstream, but we're getting whatever is in there, especially if we're sweating.
So that's
In the
bringing in,
plastic.
like you said, the heat, it's drawing it in. So
Yeah.
it's not like plastic is going into our pores and then our bloodstream. It's the water soluble toxins that are coming through the sweat into our
Yeah.
into
I
our
mean,
body.
also we're also eating, like I said, we're also eating those fibers because they're floating off into the air.
That's right. So they're in the dust and we have our dinner and it's just making its way into our mashed potatoes and and it's getting in there. Now, you did some research on dust, or someone you know did some research on some dust?
The team of Duke researchers.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. Now, dust is a major indicator about the health of our home, isn't it?
it is. Yeah.
So, what the heck is going on in dust in our home, and what do we do about having a cleaner home? Because I know a lot of your work has been moving into this too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been doing a lot of interviews recently in research, interviews with experts about indoor air quality. And, you know, there's so many there's a wildfire going on right now, I think, as
Yes.
we're sitting here outside of
Yeah.
LA. And what's happening is even if your home survives a wildfire, if you have a wildfire going on around you, your home is acting as a sieve that's catching all of this smoke. And if there are homes burning around you, they're burning all of those plastics that are in the home, like the vinyl siding and the vinyl flooring and all these different things. And one thing that has come up as being one of the most toxic things that you can put in your home is a special type of insulation called polyurethane spray foam. And so, you know, we're about to get into this big climate push for good reason, right? Like people are burning oil to heat their homes and everything. And so we're about to get a lot of tax rebates for weatherizing our homes, for insulating our homes. And so whenever you have a lot of money pouring into something, we're going to start having door knockers, people coming around and saying, hey, it looks like you have a drafty home there. Would you like to get it weatherized? We're an insulation company. We're going to do something called spray foam. It has the highest insulation value. It's non-invasive. You just have to vacate your home for 24 hours. We'll put it in your walls and then you can come back. And by the time you come back, it's going to be cured, like it's going to be hardened, and it's going to be completely and utterly safe for you and your family. And that is not always true.
Okay. I want everyone to listen. There's going to be people knocking at the door saying this is a good thing for your home.
This is an eco-friendly thing.
It's eco-friendly. So they're going to use the buzzwords eco-friendly, weatherize your home. And this weatherization, curation of this material in the home is going to make your home more eco-friendly, climate-friendly.
Right. You're going to save money on your energy bills.
Okay. So this is, I want to save money on my energy
and also
bills.
we'll help you get the tax rebates too.
I want a tax rebate. I'm going to save money.
Totally.
So what's going on with this foam that is curing in the home?
Okay. So polyurethane spray foam is what they do is they make it on site. So they take a tank of isocyanates and then they take a tank of proprietary blowing agents, flame retardants, all the things, and then they mix them on site and they spray it into your walls or your attic or your basement. And if everything goes perfectly, it makes this chemical reaction and then you have spray foam and your home is super airtight. But there's a lot of things that can go wrong. The temperature's not right. they didn't set the settings right on the mechanical equipment. So the first thing that go wrong is that it didn't cure. And then it smells really bad.
For sure.
You move back in, you're like, it smells really bad. What's going on? And, you try to get help, and the spray foam company is going to be like, no, everything's fine. Don't worry about it. When that smell is off-gassing of VOCs into your home.
Mm-hmm.
They can be carcinogenic, like all the different things, reproductive toxic. Okay. So let's say you're in this situation and you have a bad spray foam job. What do? Well, you have to pay tens of thousands of dollars, $40,000, $50,000 to have a remediation come back in and take out all your walls, take out your roof, scrape it off. It might not even work completely. And so I talked to a guy on Long Island, and he had to take out a personal loan to get his roof taken off.
Wow. So this is happening right now.
It's already happening. Yeah. And I talked to another woman who she moved back in like 2 weeks later, and she started throwing up because of this off-gassing.
Incredible. We have to take this really serious, because polyurethane, I mean, we can think about like the showers, the vinyl shower curtains, right?
Right. So that's a different material.
That's a different material.
Yeah.
Okay. So the polyurethane is something that still has off-gassing mechanisms. It's in the mattress.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is why, like, when you get a new memory foam mattress, they're like, let it off gas with the windows open for 24 hours.
That's right. And I'm going to tell you a little story. I remember I got a mattress topper because I had a really uncomfortable bed in college, and I ordered a mattress topper, and I opened it, and it smelled like chemicals, so strong. Mm-hmm. Do you know that I left it in my room? I think it was in the summer, and that thing expanded to near explosion. That thing was crazy. It was like all those and I walked in, I was like, oh my God, I forgot to open the windows.
Yeah.
I got, within the snap of a finger, immediate headache as soon as I walked in.
Yeah.
So the polyurethane is a flame retardant?
No, polyurethane is a type of plastic, but they'll add flame retardants.
But it'll be together. Yeah. So when you have it in the bed, like a new Tempur-Pedic, that material is what's making it, like fluffy.
Yeah.
But they're also spraying it with flame retardants.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, oh my gosh. I mean, it's crazy. I was just watching this video from UL. UL, they do safety testing, right? You see UL on your light bulbs and stuff. Mm-hmm. This is safe. They did this experiment. It's crazy. The video is insane, where they built a modern living room with stuff like this. Mm-hmm. I don't know what maybe this is wool, but it's like polyester couch with spray PU foam fill, polyester carpeting, vinyl, like everything's synthetic. And then they had another living room that looked like your grandma's living room, right? Like cotton, wool carpet, wood floors.
Less sexy,
all natural, right? Like the new one had engineered wood instead of solid wood, all these things. So they put an open flame on both the couches, and then they stepped back to see what would happen. And within 5 minutes, the synthetic living room had reached flashover, which means it got so hot that the whole thing exploded into flames. Like, you would be dead. And the rest of the house, also the occupants, would be dead because there's all this oily smoke coming out. The natural living room with cotton and everything, no flame retardants added, at 30 minutes, it was still like a kind of quaint looking little fire going on this like old couch with wood and everything. And it's just crazy. We're in this place where everybody's going with synthetics because they're more affordable or whatever, and they're easier to manufacture. And then adding flame retardants to them. When if you want to protect your family from a fire, or like give your family enough time to escape the house if there's a fire, you should just be buying natural materials for your house as well.
And that goes against like what companies are saying. They go, no, we need flame retardants, and this is better.
Yeah.
My upstairs at my bed, it's got wool, it's got cotton, it's got springs, and that's it.
And no flame retardants.
No flame retardants. You
don't need them.
And they make it very clear when I talk about how much I love this, and they're one of the sponsors on the show. We talk about polyurethane, and we talk about flame retardants. We talk about fiber, the fibers that you're breathing in that can cause disruption in your respiratory system. Yeah. So it's crazy to turn it on its head, right? Because people are saying like, no, like all of those mattresses or couches, you want flame retardants to protect you and your family. But not only is it causing issues for your system or your whole family, but also it's not really protecting you from fire.
No, it's not. And actually, this goes back to why I wrote my book To Die For, because what prompted writing this book was the fact that 4 different major airlines replaced their traditional wool suiting for, these uniforms, like the little jackets and the skirts and the pants and everything, with new high performance synthetic uniforms. And a significant portion of the flight attendants got very, very sick. And, their hair fell out. Some of them became disabled just by like walking on the plane, brain fog, extreme fatigue. Eventually, some of them developed autoimmune diseases. One woman I talked to had got skin cancer on her nipple, crazy, like coughing, breathing problems, skin burns. And what happened there is they went from wool suiting that doesn't need flame retardants, and they switched to synthetic blend. And then they added flame retardants. They added PFAS, this Teflon finish. They added anti-wrinkle finish, like all of this different stuff to make it easier for them not to launder or anything. And they also cheaped out. They negotiated, and it was made in Indonesia and China and all these different places. And they're super cheap and flimsy. And these flight attendants got really sick. And it's hilarious because this one, Dr. Graham Peasley, who works at Notre Dame, told me, he made this joke about how, like, if you have flames on a plane, like the flame retardant on your uniform is not going to help you. I mean, we're past that.
Yeah,
There's no point in adding flame retardants because like nobody's smoking on the plane anymore. All of these flame retardant things are from a time when people were smoking on planes or smoking in bed, and they'd fall asleep and drop their cigarette on the couch. And we're not there anymore. And they're doing so much harm to our systems. I mean, maybe you've heard of, there is an epidemic of thyroid disease in cats.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So there's an epidemic of thyroid disease in cats because they have the smaller bodies. They walk around, they lick their paws, and it's from flame retardants that are added to furniture and electronics.
And they're just rubbing all up on the flame retardants, and it's disrupting their thyroid.
I mean, they're canaries, right, in the coal mine, because they're littler bodies, and the fact that they do lick their paw and they ingest more per body weight means that this thyroid disease is becoming super prevalent in a really noticeable way. But so are all of these problems in humans as well.
Yeah, 100%. They are canaries, and we can think about our home in that way. But like, I'm still just in shock about all of this. I mean, I had, when I came out of school and I was working straight in oncology up in the Bay Area, I had 2 flight attendants that came to me. Both of them had breast cancer. And I did environmental toxin testing, tested their urine, and all of the chemicals, including flame retardants, all of them were really, really, really high. 2016.
Do you remember what airline?
Which ones? What airline?
Yeah.
No, but I have a friend who worked for American. American, and she and her friends on United. Those two, because I was telling her about all this, and she's like, oh, me and my colleagues, because she was a flight attendant that she'd stopped working flight attendant. She was doing like management in the office. She was saying, me and my colleagues, there's a lot. This is like a thing. Like the flight attendants are they know it now. They actually know it.
They know. And there was a lawsuit actually.
Yeah, there's a lawsuit. So she took pictures of me, and she has a bunch of her bags, her uniforms zipped up in bags. And she's like, one day I want people to test this because.
Well, they've been tested.
They've been tested.
They found chlordane, which is a pesticide that's been banned in the United States since the 1980s.
That's crazy. How did it get there?
Probably, I mean, if you are shipping things over or you're storing the stuff in a warehouse, they have pesticides, and but actually there's nothing illegal about that.
They're spraying some of the cabins too in some countries.
They do, yeah.
Right?
There's some countries that require when a plane comes in for them to spray the cabin down the aisles and like the bunks where the flight attendants sleep. It's wild. Whoa,
I think that happened in Bali or somewhere. I remember going, and they're like, we're just going to spray. And I was like, spray what? I was like, I need to go home. I don't want to go in this place. Yeah. A lot of people can get really anxious. Right? You're an information giver, but you're also a solution giver. Now, we talked about some things like BPA, PFAS, formaldehyde, you mentioned, those dyes that are in there, all of these chemicals, the flame retardants. For the people listening, they're going to go, okay, what do I do? Where do I start?
Yeah.
What do I look for?
It's a little bit tricky because, like I said, fashion doesn't come with an ingredient list the way cleaning products or beauty products do. But there are some general rules, and if you combine them together, you can definitely reduce your exposure. So the first thing is natural fibers, cotton, linen, merino wool. It makes a really great performance fiber. If you haven't experienced it, it's wonderful. It's like cashmere and it's super thermoregulating. You don't need all these chemicals added to it for performance. It's great. Love it. So that's one thing that they can do. Another thing they can do is, for the love of God, do not buy ultra fast fashion. Don't buy from Shein. There's been tests showing that Shein kids clothing has phthalates, high amounts of phthalates, high amounts of lead. They do not care. They cannot make clothing that's safe for the price they're making it for. Those gibberish brands on Amazon, some of those have been found to have high levels of hazardous chemicals, right? You know, like they shove words together and you're like, what is this brand?
I see that. I know the gibberish ones. And we're just buying it for $5, putting it on.
Yeah. And it's shipping straight from China and nobody's checking for you, right? We think somebody is looking into this. They're not. I visited the Newark Marine and Airport to ask customs, like, do you ever like open a box and be like, whoa, smells like chemicals. Maybe we should look into this. The answer is not really. All of these packages are coming straight over and they are not checked. They are not taxed. They are not tariffed. They could be filled with razor blades and nobody would know until your 11-year-old daughter like opens it up, like her new purchase. And like, I've heard reports that sometimes they can smell like gasoline. That's a really good indication that it has a lot of toxic chemicals in it. It's not worth it to me, right? And also the quality's garbage too.
Yeah, it falls apart.
Yeah. But there are like affordable brands that have really strong chemical management policies. So H&M, really strong chemical management. Levi's, Vans is up there. Again, we list all of these on ecocult.com. So that's something that people can do. They can also look for something called Okotex. It's German, so it's spelled kind of weird. Oekotex. That denotes that the products have been tested and found to be free of hazardous substances. So that's a really good one to look for, as well as Blue Sign. That's another label that indicates it has safe chemistry. But the bad news is that the GOTS organic certification does not actually indicate that something is non-toxic.
Please go into that because I know I was just on Amazon the other day. You know, I just moved into a new place. You've seen all the boxes downstairs.
Yeah.
And they have the new thing that says sustainability. It's like a sustainable credit or something. It's just like you can click on it, has a little leaf and just tells you this product or this company has a sustainable certification.
Sure.
So like, you're like, great, like this is a really cool shirt. Then you click it and it says GOT certified.
Yeah.
A lot of them are GOT certified this, GOT certified that. So let's go back because I was even under the impression that GOTS is like, it's a great one. I know Okotex. I never knew how to pronounce it until you did. You just did. I didn't know it was German, but I know that's a major one, and Green Guard and all. But tell me about GOT certified. Why isn't it up to the standard that we thought it was?
Okay, so a couple of reasons. And actually, I figured, so a few years ago, I did an investigation for the New York Times where I was showing that a lot of organic certified cotton coming out of India was just completely fraudulent. So that's the first thing, right? The second thing is that I started looking into this more because I have a dear friend who has suffered from toxic mold poisoning. So she's very sensitive to chemicals. And she ordered a bunch of packed organic clothing. And she opened it and she had a severe allergic reaction. And she did everything. She like put the stuff out to off gas for a while. She washed it and it was still really bad. She returned it. She got more. Same problem. And so I started looking into this, and apparently a lot of people have been having this problem. Even my fact checker for EcoCult was like, actually, I had this problem too when she saw it. And how could that be? Everything's certified organic. But I interviewed an Italian dye house owner and love this guy. He emailed me and he was like, everything you're saying is true. And I was like, hey, can I talk to you about this organic certification? Because you do this, right? And he was like, oh, yeah, I just filled out some paperwork and sent it in and I got the label. And I was like, does anybody ever checked that you're using the chemicals that you said you're using? And he was like, no,
Wow.
nobody's ever checked. And here's the crazy thing is that you would assume that a garment that's certified organic would have used like natural dyes or like plant-based dyes. No, it's the same synthetic dyes. They're just like safer than, you know, restricted dyes or something. So I talked to somebody inside the industry who does a lot of work on this, and he was like, no, I don't think the GOTS organic is denoting non-toxicity. That's not what it says, which is really disappointing.
It's really disappointing, but you heard it here first, at least to this audience. GOT certified ain't what it's marked up to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So then if I go, I want a really great natural material, and I thought GOTS was great.
Yeah.
Is the Okotex something?
It's better. Yeah.
It's better. Now, if it doesn't have Okotex, is there anything else we need to look at?
Yeah. So there's things to avoid. Also performance and marketing. So if something has a super fancy name, or it says that it's anti-wrinkle, easy care, stain resistant, you know, all these different things, or if it has a fancy, if you're like, what fabric is this? And it has like some fancy name that's indecipherable. Not only are they charging you more for that product, it's going to have a chemical finish on it, or it's definitely synthetic if you don't even recognize the fabric name. So I would definitely tell people to avoid that as well. Also, the way you clean your stuff, don't ever use fragrance products. Just don't. You're putting this fragrance that's meant to stick for a long time on your clothing. And those fragrance, they hide things like phthalates and endocrine disruptors. And also when all of those different chemicals combine in your dryer with your like laundry sheet and your detergent and all that stuff, they've tested the air coming out of the back of the dryer, and it is so hazardous. They make new chemicals that are known to the EPA to be carcinogenic and not legal for sale in the United States.
It's giving birth to new chemicals?
Yeah, the chemicals to combine it together and they make different chemicals.
Well, this is something to be said then, because at least in environmental medicine, you know what drives me crazy is people's like, hey, it's a chemical, the dose makes the poison.
Okay, factually not true.
Factually not true, right?
For endocrine disruptors.
Of course. So we're not looking at that. We're not looking at how not only they may be working together, but endocrine disruptors behave differently too.
They do. They're chaotic evil.
They're chaotic evil, right? But like the dryer thing begs that question is like, if out of the back of the dryer, there's these new chemicals that are married and giving birth to new chemicals, right? Like, what the heck's happening in the body? And a lot of these tests that are saying these chemicals are safe are done in a vacuum at a certain dose and saying that this chemical alone is safe at this level. Well, what about the other 50, 60, 70, 90 and you're breathing in, you're putting into your skin, you're putting into your mouth. So it's just a bigger question. But to be clear, if I'm wearing a t-shirt and it has a bunch of dyes and it's made of nylon and other plastics, you're saying if I wear that to the gym, it can get into my body from my sweat and I can breathe in certain fibers?
Yeah.
That's the entryway.
That's the entryway.
Because I ain't eating the shirt. But
you're also ingesting
the fibers.
The fibers as well. They're floating around, like they're going in your mouth.
I think about, you ever see Charlie Brown?
Yeah.
You know the dirty little kid who has like a cloud of dust
a cloud of fibers.
I'm just thinking of a cloud of fibers coming all around me and into my mashed potatoes. Like why are there fibers coming out of me?
Totally.
So we should actually start making a move to more natural materials.
Yeah, absolutely.
But here's the problem. A lot of these natural materials, they don't have the, I'm not seeing like the fashion, the style, it's kind of like really minimalist. There's a, right here in Abbot Kinney.
Are you saying I'm not stylish right
now? No,
but
you coming in, you got your style, you got your hair, you got your glasses, you have your old ambiance, right? You put it, it's a vibe. But here on Abbot Kinney, there's a great place, Industry of All Nations. You ever hear of them?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I love it. It's plain. It's plain. Sure, I love it. It feels good.
Yeah.
And actually my energy feels better with it. I swear, because I'm a sensitive guy, like I can feel energy and I'm like, whoa, these fibers make me feel good too.
Yeah,
totally. Like, you just feel, but I wish that they had a little bit more like edge, You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So you're in Brooklyn, so
Yeah.
probably way cooler fashion than here. Are there companies that are coming out in this sustainable field that are more stylish, like something you have on?
Yeah, I mean, look, you can find whatever you want. Like I told Vans has a really good chemical management policy. So does
Great.
Timberland. Like, you can find what you want. It's just, I think it gets a bad rap because there are brands that like this is their brand identity, right? We're
Yeah.
eco-friendly, and so their aesthetic is also that. But
Right.
no, like I mean, you can go to the mall and like find like brands that care about this for sure.
So when I'm buying a t-shirt, or let's say someone's listening, they go, I want to buy, my husband said, hey, honey, you're on Amazon. Can you just pick me up white t-shirts, undershirts or something like
Yeah.
that? Look at the ingredients and make sure it's full cotton and not a
As
blend.
much cotton as possible. Yeah.
As much cotton as possible.
Yeah, totally. And that it's a brand you recognize, right?
Okay.
So it's fine. Go shopping on Amazon, whatever. Target is also for their in-house brands, they have a very strong chemical management program. So
Wow.
like go to town, have a good time at Target. But like Amazon sells brands you recognize, and if not all brands, but if a brand has a reputation that it cares about, it can't just disappear into the ether.
Yeah.
Then it's more likely to have a safe program.
So I was doing that. That's why I asked. I was like, oh, I need white undershirts. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I just need a white undershirt.
I think
And
I want to say Jockey is pretty good.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
They were all a blend. They were all like
know.
athletic white undershirts. I wanted to get some gym shirts. It was all a blend. I couldn't even find 100% cotton.
I know.
There was like 1 out of every 10 that was 100% cotton. I guess that's what it is. Everyone wants like, it's cheaper for the company.
Cheaper, yeah.
And everyone's like that high performance. Like if I sweat at the gym, it's gonna. So like, I think of like things like Under Armour, right? Or like the dry fit clothing, the golf shirts, no good.
Yeah. Well, okay. I will say there's two different ways to think about it, right? Everybody's health and their sensitivities exist on a spectrum. So some people, they can't do clothing that even has polyester thread, right? They're in white cotton, everything. It sucks, but like that's what they have to do because they're so sensitive. And then other people might be okay with synthetics, right? Like you might not even know, but like you might be okay with it. And like if that's the case, go to Nike. They have a strong chemical management program and get your synthetic shirt if that's what you really need.
I see.
But like it's sort of like I think about it like milk, right? Like I'm not a lactose intolerant. I can have milk, but it shows up on my face 3 days later. Right?
Right.
And I think it's the same thing with things like some of these dyes, right? Where I don't have a strong reaction when I wear black synthetic shorts, yoga shorts to hot yoga. But I noticed when I went on a little like fiber elimination diet, right? Like I was wearing more and more natural fibers and fewer synthetic fibers. I was like, oh, wow, okay. Like I just thought that I broke out randomly for no reason. And it's because I put on black tights, nylon tights, and I see it a few days later.
Broke out, face breakout.
Butt breakout.
Butt breakout. Okay, whoa.
Yeah.
Sensitivity to it.
Yeah, totally. And I think a lot of people just don't even know. So, I mean, it's really up to you and where you are, right? Like if you, it's like food, right?
Yeah.
It's like you could be a total vegan, or you could be a pescatarian, or you could compromise on some things, or like, you might not want to have dairy, but like if your grandmother is like baked you a cake for your birthday, like have a piece, and like this is what I do every year. Like I make my grandmother's eggnog recipe and I'm like, this is my eggnog pimple, but it's worth it for me,
And grandma's happy.
It's the same thing with clothing.
Wow. Okay. So just bringing awareness, everyone, that your clothes, at least looking at how much percent of my closet is synthetic.
Yeah, for sure.
You may be surprised.
You would be very surprised, I think. The other thing I want people to know is there's these things, there's synthetic, semi-synthetic fibers. So there's plant-based, man-made fibers like lyocell, tencel, bamboo rayon, bamboo viscose, all of these different things. And They're plant-based, and some people who are sensitive or who have eczema love them. Some people cannot tolerate them. So it's really, again, it's like, just be more aware. I really encourage people to do a fiber elimination diet like you would do Whole30, and just like see how your skin reacts to not being in synthetics all the time.
And that makes sense. Okay. So look at your closet, see how much synthetic is there, reducing that percentage, start bringing in more natural fibers, cottons, even the plant-based blends that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, I think this is a big one for everyone, is just seeing how your body reacts. We're so good at not paying attention to our body that we don't even realize. But like, if you're wearing one of those synthetics, and what are some of the synthetic materials? Rayon?
No. So this really synthetic is polyester, nylon, acrylic, polyamide, like things like that.
Okay. So look at the ingredient or the tag.
The tag, yeah.
And see if it's made out of it. And then if you wear it to the gym or just wear it for the day, notice how you feel, because it's not just like on your skin. You could notice like, oh, my energy's down. I feel a little foggy today. See if you're having skin reactions, that's a big indicator.
Yeah,
saying,
but the crazy thing is that sometimes these reactions show up days later. So I interviewed a woman who, she didn't know what was going, but she started getting super itchy. She'd wake up bleeding because in the night she'd scratched herself raw. And she finally went to her dermatologist. She got the whole patch test, and she's allergic to disperse dyes, especially black and blue. So but the thing is like, she never knows what's going to make her react. So she goes to places with really good return policies. She'll buy something, she'll wear it, and then she'll wait 3 days to see if something happens, because that's how long it takes for her to have that reaction. So you can see how tricky it is.
So we wait a little bit then.
Yeah.
Give ourselves at least 3 days.
Yeah.
And if you're having a reaction, like you're off, then start seeing if there's a connection. Ultimately what we're giving everyone is just the awareness to start paying attention.
It should be empowering. Like, I'm 37, and a lot of my girlfriends are going through IVF right now.
Yeah.
And God, it's such an abusive process. It's financially abusive. It's physically abusive. And it's really infuriating to me that a lot of them I have a chapter about this in my book, To Die For. They go to their doctor, and their doctor's like, oh, like you have such a low chance because you have low ovarian reserves and all this stuff. And there's nothing you can do except give us $20,000. And people are going through these rounds. And that's not true. You can increase your chance of success by getting endocrine disruptors out of your environment.
Yeah.
And that includes getting plastics out of your kitchen, getting fragranced and toxic beauty and personal care products out of your bathroom. And it includes switching your underwear out, to cotton underwear instead of wearing synthetics and all these things. And like, this is empowering information to have. It's giving people some semblance of control over this outcome and their health, which is great. Like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And that information is out there. I think about the underwear. Actually, I had some dry fit underwear years ago, like a whole like set. And I was like, oh, I was what I wore to the gym.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know it. So since then I switched 100%. But again, who would have thought about underwear? Who would have thought about these things?
I know. Yeah. My husband's a smart wool underwear person now.
Smart wool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if he's feeling really fancy, he'll do icebreaker.
Okay. But your website has what for us?
So ecocult.com has updated research and information. So I'm always answering new questions from our readers. Like we did something recently on silicone. Can you trust silicone? Is it toxic? What is it? We also have shopping guides, men, women, underwear, jeans, all that different stuff.
Great. So resource.
We
got a resource. Well, I don't want to sign off until I ask about silicone, because I cook with silicone utensils. That's a yes or a no?
That's a no.
But I thought that was better than plastic, no?
I know it is better than plastic in a lot of different ways, but there has been research. I looked into it, and there's been research showing that like when it heats up, it can break down and release some hazardous chemicals, especially into your food. So like bakeware, cookware. If you're talking about like period cups, it's totally fine. Or if you're the silicone nipples on the bottles for babies and toys and stuff, that's totally fine. It's just when like you heat it up above a certain temperature.
Okay. And breast implants. So they're silicone.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I mean, there's
Might
been a
be.
lot of research showing that they're not great.
Yeah. Wow. So I love this because we can learn more on your blogs. Amazing. Okay. Is there any pressing stuff that we didn't cover that is really important for you right now?
Oh, right now, I mean, we talked about the spray foam insulation, the like coming onslaught of weatherization.
No one's talking
programs.
about that.
Yeah. And that's really important to me. And the other thing is like just your general, like all of the things that people are bringing into their homes that are off-gassing VOCs, that are shedding microfibers, all of these things. It's really important, especially as we tighten up our homes and have less air going in and out and airflow, that we're really conscious of our indoor air quality. So like the air purifiers are great. Also getting an electric or induction stove instead of gas. When you're buying, like outfitting this beautiful home that you have here, like getting wool rugs instead of polyester rugs.
That's right.
All those different things they're all really important for the quality of your life.
Do you know why you don't see a couch here? Because I'm still trying to work with a company to get a couch here that is natural and clean.
It's so hard.
Yeah, I mean, I could have had an IKEA couch, or I don't know about IKEA, but like any couch on Amazon, I could have brought it in here and it would have been like made of polyester and made of polyurethane and flame retardants. Like it's hard to find one of like a really good quality.
We have a shopping guide on
Oh, I gotta go on there. That's where we're going back to the AM voice. But here we go. All right, beautiful. I mean, we need more people like you holding companies accountable, holding industries accountable. We really do. So I really applaud your passion and that fire and that activist in you, because I see it in you as much as I have it in me, even more. So everyone go check out the website.
ecocult.com.
Okay. And any more info we can find on you? Any like on Instagram?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I'm on EcoCult is on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok and Alden Wicker. And you can also see my freelance investigations and work at aldenwicker.com.
Hell yeah. Everybody get on there. If you got kids, get on there. If you don't have kids, get on there. It's really important. If you have a home, watch out for the door knockers. We learned a lot on here. Thank you so much for your passion, for your love for this, and fantastic, fantastic podcast.
Thank you so much. This has been so fun.